Welcome to the Mighty Nerd Podcast, brought to you by the reason why the McDonald's ice cream machine never works. My name is FistTruck, and today I am joined by, like every other day, Solid Snarf.
Hello.
And HeyyyyyTony. Hey with 5 Ys.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Welcome. So, after doing Hotline Miami last week, the natural progression of things, or Hotline Miami 1 and 2, natural progression of things would be to cover a Resident Evil game. So, in the way that we would typically do things, that you start at the first and then you work your way forward, like we did, we started with God of War 1. So, today we're talking about Resident Evil 7, which in itself is kind of like the start of something for Resident Evil, or was the start of something for Resident Evil, I would say.
Yeah. I would say you could definitely start a like an introspective of a series on Resident Evil 7, because
Resident Evil works in threes.
I would say that.
Yeah.
I would say that as well. Yeah.
So, without further ado, I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting any intro shit. I'm not. So, I guess first, we talk about some of the backstory. I know Snarf, right before we started, or shortly before, was just going through like voice acting credits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at them, going through like all the voice actors, because I was doing research on one character who's like one of the most important characters, and the only credits that these guys have for voice acting are this game. And it looks like a majority of them are like actors, or they appear in small stuff. I know the guy, one of my favorite voices, Jack Baker. Or
The dad.
Yeah, he does the only voice acting role he's ever done, as far as I saw on his IMDb page, and then he's like in a college humor short, and then yeah. So,
I guess then I don't know. Like I feel like I might have heard this in another video. I don't know how long ago at this point, but a while ago. And I guess about Resident Evil 7 in particular is that like Resident Evil 7 kinda, if you look at Capcom's releases before and after, Resident Evil 7 was kind of like a turning point. As long as you know the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out later the same year, but that's besides.
Yeah, I would have to say it was just really different from every other Resident Evil that I played, and not just from the first-person perspective. It had some other things in it that I've never expected from a Resident Evil. So
yeah, I mean, not just that. I mean, like for Capcom as a whole, like if you look at. If you look at stuff like I just have the freaking like wiki open right now, and if you look like what they put out in 2016, Street Fighter 5, which I think was the one that everyone had beef with when it came out.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Did it have all?
It didn't fucking work properly.
Didn't have story mode.
Yeah, and it didn't fucking work properly.
Yeah.
Breath of Fire 6, which I cannot say anything about. I just know it's a niche franchise. Yeah. Dead Rising 4, which pretty much cemented the end of that franchise. Yeah. I guess, let's see. Yeah. They also came. Okay. I'm missing a big stinker that came out in 2016. Umbrella Corps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That, yeah.
When you thought, what was the other one that came out that was total dog shit that came out for like the Xbox 360?
I think it was Raccoon City.
Yeah. When it couldn't get worse. We thought it couldn't get worse. Umbrella Corps is like, hold my beer.
Yeah, I know like around that time, 2017, Capcom started like focusing on what they're releasing instead of like just putting shit out. I know, like Monster Hunter World came out a year later. Like some
it's great, bro. It's
Capcom's
crazy.
Been throwing shit out that's been really, really good.
Almost year over year. Yeah, almost year over year. Not 100%. Not every single year.
Capcom
but for the
has
most
a good
part,
track record compared to a lot of other companies.
Yeah, but it specifically started in 2017. Like I mean, obviously they had history in the past, but I mean, like.
Right.
like they were prior to Resident Evil 7, there was a bit of like a like they kind of took a downturn, which
we
think
don't speak
like,
about Resident Evil 6, you know.
Yeah,
but before that, they were doing okay. They were doing okay.
Yeah,
6 kind of
peaks and valleys, and there was kind of a lull between like 2012 and 2017.
Yeah, 2012, 2000, but 2013 was the one, like at least me looking through the years, was the one where I guess like was the hotly contested one where I think most what they put out was shit. I mean, I love DMC, Don't Make Cry, that came out 2013, but so did Lost Planet 3, and that was fucking. That was doo-doo water.
Damn, I forgot there was a 3. I forgot there was a 3, dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
we don't
man.
talk about 3.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when you look at Resident Evil 7 comes out, and then once again, ignoring the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out later the same year, you look at like 2018, you get Monster Hunter World, highest selling Capcom game they've ever made.
Yeah.
2019, you get fucking like the Resident Evil 2 remake and Devil May Cry 5. 2020, you get I think it was a Resident Evil 3 remake, which I like a lot, but I know that was not like everybody's favorite. Yeah,
I liked it. It wasn't bad. I think 2 was better, but you know.
Yeah.
As a remake, anyway.
I think it was 2021. You got Monster Hunter Rise and Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, that was good.
I think 2022 was a bit of a quiet year, and then 2023, like last year, they put out fucking Exo Primal.
Okay.
But then they also put out a couple other little known games like the Resident Evil 4 remake and fucking Street Fighter 6. So there's that too. Which
Dragon Dogma.
That was this year.
Dragon's Dogma was this year, and it was good. That was really good.
So like Resident Evil 7 was kind of like a hold on. It almost seems like it was even though the way game development works, it's not like, oh hey, Resident Evil 7 was good, so we're gonna make Monster Hunter World. Like obviously it was in the pipeline way before the game came out.
It's definitely the way to they rejuvenated the series, right?
Yeah, but I think they also just rejuvenated themselves as a brand.
Yeah.
Like as after that, because there was so much of like the focus in like Western developed games and kind of trying to, I guess, appease to Western sentiments, because that's where like DMC came from. Even though as much as I love that game, that is where it came from. That's where Lost Planet 3 came from. And it is technically where Dead Rising came from, but then milking it to the point where, it was like, okay, like
I
stop.
have to say, Lost Planet was the Xbox's staple. Like it really between Gears of War and Lost Planet, those were the Xbox 360 staple when it first dropped.
Yeah, and like I remember when Lost Planet 1 dropped, I liked it a lot. Lost Planet 2, that was like sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah,
that was like I mean, I played it so much, but that was not a good game.
So
that was pushing the
number
generation
3 was
of the box.
outsourced to like a Western company,
yeah.
right?
We talked. Yeah, I remember we talked about this in like one of the FistTruck TV videos or something like that, where it was like, I think it's called Spark Unlimited. They essentially have made just like I assume I'm trying to be nice. Fuck it. They made a lot of shitters. They made a lot of shitters, and I don't know how the hell they got that, but they did, and that was probably like the most high profile release they had, and clearly the one with the biggest budget behind it. And it still sucks. like because the game, when you see it in motion, it's like, oh well, it's a good looking game, or at least for its time, it's a very good looking game. But anyway, so I guess kind of taking a step back and going back to what Tony was saying, Resident Evil 7 marked like a super big change for the franchise, especially after fucking Resident Evil 6.
Yeah. And this was also the first implementation of the engine that they built, right? The RE engine.
The RE, that they still use.
Yeah, and they make a lot of games off of it.
Like I really believe if this game would have tanked, they would not have done any more first-person Resident Evil shit. I think they would have changed it. I think with this game doing well, they proceeded to make Village afterwards. Because I'm not trying to say Village wasn't in the works, but I feel like if the game didn't do well, they wouldn't have continued with Village with the first person. I think they would have known, like, yo, maybe we should go back to the over-the-shoulder type deal that we started with GameCube with Resident Evil 4.
Give me just a sec. Sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bobbity beep beep.
Okay, all right.
You want to timestamp that?
That I'm good now. I'm good now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just
11.
forgot to turn off my AC, so that's gonna be background noise for a little bit there.
Shit, I don't think we even heard it.
Oh, I see my mic thing going off, like in OBS, so like that's.
Gotcha.
Okay, sorry. So, continue. What were you guys saying?
So what? Yeah.
About
I don't think
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they would have continued with the franchise being first person. I think it would have been just over the shoulder if it wasn't for this one doing well.
Oh, yeah.
Resident Evil 4 kind of put that over the shoulder laser sight on a body part type stick together, and it done so well that they continued with 5. They pushed it on to 6, and it was like after 6 tanked because the 6, I feel like they put unnecessary stuff that you don't need in a Resident Evil, like rolling on the ground and being able to do a 360. It was fun just fucking around in the game, but as to just put that in Resident Evil, like they tried to make it action paced, and I think once they realized, damn, this really didn't work, that and the story jumping from character to character, I'm not trying to say that's bad, but it kind of, it's not the same Resident Evil, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I think 7 was
the tone.
Yeah, it was an action shooter. The tone was really bad.
You even in like Leon's campaign, which was technically like the scary one, you still had like whole sections, like when you get to fucking China and you're like running on the highway and the whole thing's fucking exploding, and then you fight a fucking giant fly at the end, but he was also a T-Rex and then a dog or something. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous, and it's crazy to think that like in that game, if I remember correctly, if you started the Leon campaign in Resident Evil 4, there was still a bit of like a slow burn when you started because you're going through like the college campus.
Yeah.
And in Resident Evil, but the thing is that once the shooting starts, you also have like fucking like 90 bullets already on your person, I think. And in Resident Evil 7, it's the complete opposite. Like, it takes absolutely forever before you even fire a shot. Before you get a gun. Technically, well, I guess if you count when you're shooting your Mia or whatever, but like when it comes to actually getting into the loop of the game and actually fighting enemies and stuff like that, I mean, it takes a long ass time. Yeah. But like the pacing of it is so much fucking better than
I also think that they like you said, the pacing, and I also believe that they brought back
the horror.
Scare. The horror, like the scare. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. The very first beginning of the game, looking for me, then when you going down that hallway and the father just comes straight through the wall. How you doing, boy? I'm like, oh shit! Like, I'm panicking, like running, like it's really bad. Like and it's first person, so it's right there. Yeah. And don't get me started on the VR, because I played the VR too. The VR is just it's fucking crazy. But it was such a good the very beginning they brought the horror back. Yeah.
And I guess that can segue into talking about the game, unless anyone has any other thing they want to add to this, like, shit surrounding the game section as opposed to the game itself.
No, that's a good game.
No, I think we touched, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, the intro's like crazy good. I mean, you start off and there's the cutscene where Mia's there and saying the "Hey baby" thing, and tells you to, hey, how you going? And then it goes to the the video that he got where she's come find me, or then stay away or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, stay away.
And but just like in terms of actually playing the game, the intro bit where you go into the house, you get out the car, you're walking around, you see some sort of like, meaty, I don't even know what to call that, gateway or something. You go into the house, and then I think like, it's already kind of, I'm trying to think. The first vibes I got off that game when I played it was like Amnesia or something. Like that was
the first vibe I got was Texas Chainsaw with the house.
That makes sense. I was thinking more gameplay wise, but
I played the game when it came out, and even before getting into the house, I shut it off. Like,
it took doing a let's play of it to get you through.
Yeah, the only way I got to play it was because we did a let's play of it. But I've played almost every Resident Evil game, like even the bad gun con shooters.
Yes, dead aim.
I just like Resident Evil. I don't like horror games, but if the game's good enough and I'm interested enough of it, I'll play it.
Like Dead Space.
Yeah, Dead Space. I'll play. Dead Space is the scariest game I've ever played. I think it's probably the scariest game that I could ever play, right? But it's just too good of a game not to play it.
Fair enough, I get that.
Yeah,
like it is a fun game.
Yeah,
it is.
Resident Evil falls under that category. Like I will, the amount of fear that I have for it is outweighed by my love of the game.
Have you played 8?
No, not yet. Little bit of it. I have it.
Yeah, I think
there's just one section in 8 that's like
that'll probably fuck you up a little bit.
That'll fuck you up, but otherwise the rest of it is just like bang and just keep going.
Yeah.
But when it came out, I'm like, again, I'm a bitch. I just got stuck with fear. The atmosphere was too fucked up. I didn't like the first person view mode because it was too scary. And before I even got into the house, and if you know where that spot is, it's seconds when you start the game.
Or like a minute or two. Yeah.
I'm not going to play this game. This is too much.
So what really caught me with these games, and this is just going back to the other ones as well. Like Fist said, I believe with any Resident Evil game, I believe the pacing is the most important part. When you get into a Resident Evil game, most of them start out very slow, scary. You limited on equipment. You don't have all of the best guns. But I feel like as you get into it and you get more weapons, you get more equipment, then the pacing starts speeding up to where they just throw like caution to the wind, and they like, you know what? No longer are we going to have lickers coming after you. Now we're going to have zombies with guns shooting at you. And this is what really just blows me for a lot of the Resident Evil franchise.
Brain dead, aim down sight.
Aim down sight. Like, it's just really weird because it starts off scary and then it gets to... like it's really weird. So I try to take myself out of it because it becomes action paced towards the end. Like now I got a rocket launcher, I got zombies shooting rockets at me, I got this, I got that. The pacing for most Resident Evil games just get really weird towards the middle to the end. Now, am I saying I don't enjoy that? No, I'm not trying to say that, but it just gets really fast action paced towards middle to end when you start picking up weapons and stuff like that.
I don't think there's not a Resident Evil that doesn't have like
that doesn't do that
stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there's. Well, the very first one had. Did it?
I mean,
the first one had sharks and snakes and big.
And
like the the red zombies. Like if you don't burn the bodies of all the zombies that you killed, they come back as like these huge claw monsters, and that should they haven't done it since because it was so fucked up.
And then by the end you fight like Tyrant or something like that. The
Tyrant,
yeah.
But other than that, I agree with Snarf. Just the fear aspect of it. Especially at the very beginning of the 7, hiding from the father when you ain't got no gun or no ammo.
We're talking about even before that point.
Well, even before that point, It's really wild to just that fear aspect. I agree.
I like that this game had a demo. I don't know if anyone ever remembers that. Yeah, that they had a demo, and I knew like, I don't know if they. I don't know if they had one for 8 or like 3 or 4.
They had one for 8. They did. Okay. I think there was a demo for 8. Yes.
Like, giving this game a demo was what's up?
No, go ahead.
Giving this game a demo was the smartest thing ever because, and it was just the whole intro section. It was like I think it was like pretty much the intro section with the tape.
When you're going into the house and everything and checking the house. Yeah.
And it was just like, because it was such a departure, from the series as a whole. And it's like, I think this is not a hot take. or like jumping to conclusions, but there's absolutely no way that Capcom did not just like look at what the indie scene was doing for horror games and not just totally like fun go, we gotta do that, we gotta do that, we gotta do that. With games like, you know, with Amnesia being the biggest one, and then you had like no, I'm not a fan of these games, but like Outlast, stuff like these first person horror games where it's just like you have to run and hide. Like that's kind of
those games are so, I don't know. Like
I kind of get it gets a bit old, a bit fast for me. Specifically Outlast. Also because Outlast you can immediately find the holes in the AI that makes a game a fucking like carnival rather than an actual or
Outlast
circus.
And like Amnesia in those games, I just I don't know how to explain it other than
very asymmetrical.
Yeah,
I would say
so.
that.
Yeah,
I would say that, and the only
sense.
reason I say that is Alien Isolation was that.
Yeah. I'm sure I would not be surprised if they took a lesson from that game too. Because
they did.
Alien
that was a
Isolation
higher,
was really good.
Yeah, that was definitely a much higher profile game to also have that like first person. You're gonna hide, like don't fight
a lot.
You know, at least
a lot.
That
Locker
kind of stuff.
Simulator.
yeah. But like you know, it put the fear of God in you.
It still did well, which was so crazy. A lot of people enjoy Alien Isolation to this day. So,
bro, imagine Alien Isolation is a whole game. Amnesia is a whole game. Imagine everybody losing their mind over a like 30-minute demo teaser, if you will, of a first-person horror game that everyone still talks about. That's fucking PT.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so like Resident Evil go in that same direction, like okay, first person, slow, you know, at least for a while. While, you're definitely gonna be like on the defensive, you know, having to hide and stuff like that. But I just appreciate that in the whole intro, before Mia starts going nuts and you start having a clock her in the head with a hatchet or something like that. The bit when you get the tape and you put the tape in and you play through as like the, you know, like the freaking like the ghost, the ghost hunter people or the reporters or whatever going through there. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like this. Like this is, you know, it's a different kind of tone. And then it also like kind of tells you where to go next. That was cool. So I guess moving on, you go, you find Mia, who is your girlfriend or wife or ex-wife or something like that, or ex-girlfriend.
You
like
play as Ethan Winters.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yes. I forgot. I will not critique him. I will not critique him yet.
And so you know Ethan Winters from such games as Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8.
Wow.
And SmackDown versus Raw.
Yeah, the voice actor was SmackDown versus Raw like
John. No, let me stop.
He did Vince McMahon, Christian, and Jim Morrison.
No, I was like, yo, they must have gotten to do the sounds of the ring, like just. Mia, you find her in the cell, you free her. Eventually, you two get separated, and all of a sudden, like you very, very shortly afterwards, you see her again, and she's like fucking cuckoo doo doo, like insane, and also really buff. Picks you up, throws you with one arm. You know, does like 1,000 pull-ups afterwards or some shit.
Right. Face turns into the Grinch, just not green.
Picks up Nibbler shit from Futurama. Like she's that strong. And so the intro section is essentially you being put in like what is almost like the worst episode of Maury ever. I would say, where you're kind of just like confused. You're still working your way through the house for some reason, instead of just, you know, like getting the fuck out like any sane person would. And every now and then Mia comes up with like, like at first she's just like kicking the shit out of you, and she has a knife, and you're like, I'm not sure where you have that thing, but all right, fine. And so she's stabbing you. Then eventually, like, you fight her with a hatchet and you clock her in the side of the neck, and then it's like stuck, and it seems like you killed her. Then later on, you work your way through the house a little bit more, and then she's back, and all of a sudden she has a fucking chainsaw, and she cuts her hand off, and it's like not a big deal.
Yeah.
As you proceed to fire a gun with one hand, with a nub in a hand, like it's, and then eventually it ends with you getting a gun, shooting her, beating her with the gun.
Wait, did she cut your hand off or your fingers in this
hand,
one? The
hand, whole hand.
It was the whole hand?
Whole hand, yeah. Like up to like here or something.
Yeah, with the chainsaw, you go like this. And,
yeah, because she grabs a screwdriver, and like, Passion of the Christ you into the fucking wall, and then comes up with a chainsaw from around the corner and cuts your hand off.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which, like, as a side effect, this like such a weird, like, wow, my guy really doesn't give a fuck that his hand just got cut off.
He's been through a lot, cause I can't remember. Like,
well, it's
always his hands.
And his foot if you trigger a special little cutscene. But yeah. And that's like a plot point that's addressed in like Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, he has he has limbs taken off, and then once you escape through the attic, you get stopped by Jack Baker. And then you wake up like at the dinner scene, and they put some oil on your hand and reattach your hand.
Yeah, it's like fucking Sprite or something. Yeah.
All good now.
Just walking around with bottles of Sprite, just repairing your limbs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess going off that, so yeah, you're at this dinner table after you beat Mia. Jack catches you, like jump scares the shit out of you, probably snuffs you, and or stomps your face out, or snuffs you, whatever. You're at the dinner table, and you're introduced to the Baker family, which is Jack and the other two.
Jack, Zoe. Oh god,
Zoe's not there. Zoe's
not there, right?
Yeah.
Jack, Lucas.
I forget the mom's name.
Mom,
I always
grandma.
Oh yeah, grandma's there.
Yeah, no Mia.
I forget. Yeah, but grandma's just kind of there, like, borderline comatose.
Yeah.
But the other three of them, Jack, Lucas, and the mom, whose name I forget, even though I like her character. They're at the table eating what looks like people parts or some shit. I don't even know, entrails or something.
Marguerite Baker.
Marguerite. Thank you. And they're totally fucking nuts. Like, they're super duper nuts. Lucas says something like he's clearly like the type of kid you would regret raising, and Jack just takes his arm and just chops it off, like, right in front of you. And he's just like, oh, not again. Like, after it happens, you're like, oh, all right. They try feeding you stuff. It's clearly gross. Your character spits it out. And then Jack just takes like a fucking knife to your mouth or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And eventually the family leaves the room. You break out of that, and what happens afterwards is like your first instance of shitting your pants as you turn the corner of the hallway and Jack just comes walking around. And I'm like, I haven't gone back to watch the videos that Snarf and I did on 3HP, but I would wager that I think he got through the wall, and your reaction was just like, ah!
That fucked me up too, Snarf. So don't feel
fucked
bad.
Everybody up. I was playing it a couple days ago, and it's still, I'm like, please don't go through the wall, please. And he went through the wall, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. That happened.
Yeah, and then the cool thing I like about it is that you have to get a key to open up a hatch to go down the hatch. If you open up the hatch while Jack is too close to you or close enough to you,
he fucks your shit up and chops your leg off.
Yeah, he cuts your foot off.
And then has the audacity to put a fucking health potion right next to you and say, come get it. Like, that is like diabolical. Like, just to chop off your leg and then say to come get. And this is where the story for me just kind of took a roll, because I was just like, when that happened to me, and I crawled to the potion, and Ethan just bloop, 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 bloop.
And it just goes back
and
on.
he just reattached his leg. I said, okay, what the fuck is going on with Resident Evil?
It was a Sprite remix bottle. It wasn't just
apparently, like it was wild. I was like, okay, well, we reattaching limbs. Okay, love this.
Yo, can I get a gauge of Sprite remix sucks, right?
I never had it.
It depends on the flavor. There was like 2 flavors for it, if I remember.
I only remember one when it came out. I was like, that shit sucks. Anyway, continue.
One of the flavors definitely sucked. I'm just putting that out there.
Sorry. So yeah, he chops your foot off. You put it back on like it's nothing. Crawl through, and then eventually you get to a spot where you get a phone call from Zoe. Who is their daughter, who's the only one who I guess seems to be not like cuckoo fucking crazy in that place.
Right.
And she, you know, kind of throughout the game, she's just a constant thing, or for a good portion of the game, I will say. She's a constant thing of like, or person who will contact you through the phone and have something to say, that kind of stuff, give you advice or like point you where to go, what you need to do, and like kind of sort of why you're doing it. And yeah, like, you know, speaking of the phones, as you're working your way through the house or through the whole game or a good portion of it, you're constantly just seeing like phones, and you will get like, they will ring, you pick them up, and for the most part, you know, it's just like a little bit more dialogue or exposition or something like that. So after that, you get into actually exploring the house.
Right.
Eventually this leads to,
you're trying to get into the garage.
Yeah, you're trying to get into the garage because you see a police officer. Watching the cutscene again, I was like, that police officer kind of pissed me off. You know, that was my first reaction, but when you think about it, he pissed me off at the very end. At the very end, he pissed me off.
Right.
Before that point, I was just like, I get it. When he's like, you got to give me your gun. It's just like, what? No, I don't. Here's a knife.
I
he's
get
like,
that part.
Yeah. It's just at the end when the door is closing and he's just like, hold on, what are you doing? Why is the door closing? He's like, you literally just saw me walk into the room, bro. What are you talking
like,
about?
why are we having this discussion?
And so that reminds me of like a common thread that happens throughout the whole fucking game. These guys appear out of nowhere. Like, yeah, like it's
horror tropes, man.
It's horror trope, but also like video game wise, these guys clearly appear out of nowhere, like out of thin air. And it kind of irks me a little bit because I was playing I played through the DLC. Like the Joe Baker one, the one where you play the punching dude. And again, same thing. Like the main bad guy just pops off screen like immediately. Like you're looking over here, you look over here for 1 second, and then he comes from here. It pisses me off a little bit.
I mean, even at the beginning bit where the first time Jack catches you after you fight Mia, when I was just playing it recently, I walked into the room, I walked out of the room, I walked around the hallways like, where the fuck is he? He's supposed to grab me by now. I walked back towards the room, and all of a sudden I got grabbed. I'm like, you literally weren't there. You literally weren't there.
So imagine playing VR and the motherfucker in the first person. It's like, so this is the crazy part. When you play Resident Evil 7 regularly, you ever been grabbed by Jack and he grabs your face and turns you around?
Yeah, that's how he always does it.
That's the wildest shit. And in VR, it is so surreal because it's still dark. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Imagine, come here, boy. Like, it's just, like, it's the weirdest shit. And I'll be so triggered. I was like, yo, what is going on? But that is the aspect of, like, just having him. Like, I don't think I can really describe how much fear it is to shoot something and he tells you, well, that ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to try harder. Like it's just so,
yeah, or you have to do better than that.
You gotta do better than that, boy. I'm like, oh, like it is illicit fear running from him, because even if you shoot the shit out of him, he still just keeps coming. And I'm just like, and I didn't know that at the very beginning. I wasted all my ammo just fucking like trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And then the fear got in, like, because now I'm running. So yeah, it's a good pace. I really enjoyed that for the beginning.
The garage is the boss battle, right? So
yeah,
you try to get into the car and then get away, or you find the key, and it's like is misnomer the right word? It's like you pick up the key, you think you're going to do something with the car doesn't do shit. It gets you into even more trouble.
Keep running him over.
Yeah. And then he pulls you out of the car and then uses it against you. And it's like,
that depends. So if you take too long to get into the car, he gets in the car, and that's pretty much just like a, an auto death screen. Like,
okay.
Yeah. And on the other hand, if you get in the car first, which, like, it's like a boss fight, I guess, but it's more a puzzle than anything else, because pretty much once you know what to do, the first thing you do when that fight starts is immediately run to the table, grab the keys, get in the car, and that's it. It's over. And you run him over a couple times, and all of a sudden, much like you were just talking about with him just magically, or these dudes just showing up out of nowhere, like, you're clearly running him over, and all of a sudden, like, he's ripping the hood off the car. Yeah. And you're like, what the, how the I
and
literally
then
just ran
grabbing
over,
the steering wheel and shit.
Yeah, and then there just happens to be like fucking steel beams there in like their garage, and he drives into it, kills himself, or supposedly. Car gets out of the car after getting like the steel beam like this in his head. Comes after you on fire. Car explodes. He falls down and is like, okay, it's over. You got to climb a ladder, and then he just shows up right next to you. And he's just like charred body. He's just like, oh, hey, you want to fucking do a roar? And he puts a gun in his mouth and fucking shoots it. And you see like half his head is just, or like a quadrant of his head is just fucking ground beef.
Like, do you want to see something cool?
Yep. And then
body.
I would say that's actually when you start exploring the house. Like, you actually get out of that little like corner of the house and start moving around a bit. At that point it kind of turns into I guess like classic Resident Evil, which is the Resident Evil I don't resonate with in terms of just tank controls, but when it comes to just like exploring and puzzle solving, it's I love that. So it's just you exploring the house, and I think because of the atmosphere, you're always on edge that something's gonna come for you, and nothing does.
Nothing does
for like quite a bit until you get to the bathroom. Until you get to the bathroom, and if you like empty the tub, and I think it gives you like the wooden thing that you use to like because it's kind of one of the like puzzles throughout the game where it's
puzzles
these wooden,
to get out of the house.
Like these wooden figures, something like that are, you put them on a little like pedestal, and there's a light coming from behind them. You got to line them up to fit the shape or the silhouette in the picture.
That's one thing I've never really understood about Resident Evil games. Like we all played them. Like, here's this door. I have a shotgun, but here's this wooden door that I cannot get through without these puzzle pieces. So, just it. Game physics. Let's just move
video
on.
game shit. Like
video game.
Oh yeah, there's just
I can clearly jump this barricade. You can't jump the barricade.
Yeah, the one I always think of is like at the end of Resident Evil 5. And in Resident Evil 5, you are very much like, special forces, some shit like that, right? And you're on the ship, and you're working your way through the ship to get to the top to stop the, like, after the lady turns into like the big Ouroboros thing. And part of you getting to the top of the ship is you're going through the hallway, and they have to go through like a bunch of side rooms, because in the hallway is boxes.
Yeah, I remember
plastic boxes that are blocking your way. And for some odd reason, it's like, let's go through the hallways full of dudes instead of, just clearing the fucking boxes. fucking special for. They never trained us for boxing. They said don't touch other people's shit.
Don't touch the boxes.
Destroying rocks with your bare hands. Yeah. Boulders.
And
oh yeah, that boulder scene. Oh my god, let's not talk about
it's amazing. It's amazing. Best scene in gaming history. I don't care.
Chris.
boulder fucker.
Chris Smash.
Chris.
Fucking start like they do a remaster or remake of Resident Evil 5. He just pushes it with his tongue or something. So, and much in the way like you imagine any sort of very old school house in Louisiana would be, in order to move around, in order to leave the front door of the house, you need 3 dog heads to put in a fucking plaque on the door, which I personally don't know anyone who lives in Louisiana currently, but I'd have to ask to see if that's normal.
Put a 3 dog has Cerberus on your front door.
Yeah. And to get around the house, like, oh, hey, we keep our shotgun on a on like a you know, there's like a bus or something like that. Yeah.
No, a counterweight.
Yeah, a counterweight.
In the house.
So, you know, just in case anyone tries grabbing the shotgun, they're stuck in the room until they fucking like either put the shotgun back on or starve to death or something.
Right. Or put a fake shotgun on there.
Or put a fake shotgun. It's like, wait, what, really? Yeah. Why would they have a fake shotgun? We keep it upstairs. We keep the fake shotgun upstairs just in case we want the real one. So
it's game physics. It'd be weird.
Yeah, just
like, okay.
So yeah, you know, you get into like the Resident Evil flow of or at least the more old school one of exploring a you know, this like enclosed environment like a house or, you know, a mansion or whatever it may be, or a police station, I guess. And you know, you're solving puzzles, exploring, reading bits here and there of like, you know, lore or whatever background, like stuff filling the story. What's up?
Can we stop on lore for just a second? I know we was talking about the father. Did anybody feel bad after watching some of those tapes and knowing what type of father he was? Like, I felt horrible watching. Usually, I don't go for Resident Evil lore because it's all T virus, B virus, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. But this one, when I looked at these tapes and noticed what type of person he was compared to when he was infected, compared to when he was not, I was just like, damn, the father was, he was the glue. It's like the glue to keep the whole family together. He was that guy. And I was just like, damn, it's fucked up.
Yeah. But that's again a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
No, I mean, definitely when that happened, I was like, damn, what was it? It was a vision or something, right? Because
that's way much later on. Much later.
Oh, okay. I thought those are the tapes you find in the house. I thought there was like videotapes that showed you certain things.
Well, you also find like pictures of him, like you see a picture of him in like the Marines or something, and just like when him and like the picture of the family before they were, you know, before what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
like,
you know, pretty much everything points to him being a pretty cool dude.
And later on, you see after you kill him, like later on, Ethan has like a vision of while he's in the goo, while he's in the mold. And Jack actually talks to you, but the original Jack, he says, "Hey man, you gotta kill this bitch. Set my family free, please."
Back to the server's head and getting out the house.
Back server's head. Yeah. So you're just exploring, and eventually, you come across, you go into the bathroom. You have to empty the tub to get that wooden thing. And you're leaving the bathroom, and dude shows up again, except now like a quadrant of his head is there again, but also looks like somebody put it back on and didn't put it back on properly or some shit, or like there's a seam.
He's filled with Bondo, like the head.
And he once again becomes a presence, just kind of like stalking you around the house.
Yeah.
And that part I think is probably, I would say, the worst one. Because that's when you start shooting him. Because now at this point you have a gun, and this is a point where probably like most anyone else, you're just gonna start shooting him and waste all of your bullets, like Tony said earlier, just for him to fall down, and you'd be like, yeah, and then get back up and start. You're like, what the fuck? I'm out of bullets, just for you to then put the thing on the, the pedestal, do the light puzzle, go through, and then find goo monsters that you actually probably should kill, but you have no bullets.
Yeah, you gotta go, like, you're running through the whole house trying to figure out how to open up doors, find secrets, find ammo, specifically. Like, even I doubled back later on to find ammo, and he's just chasing you constantly. I thought it was pretty cool. The detection system, like, he wouldn't always know where you are, so he could lose track of you. But he
I did enjoy that. If you broke line of sight, he'll start talking too. I'm looking for you. Where are you? Like, he start talking shit.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that, like, he does follow you in a certain portion, like in a sizable amount, but he won't just follow you like to the fucking basement. That'd be obnoxious.
That would have been obnoxious. It was mostly the second floor and the first floor, the door where the Cerberus door was. Yeah.
So you find the goo monsters. You run into what's going to be your enemy for the whole game. The goo monsters. There are about like 3 different kinds of goo monsters. Maybe 4. I would say 4. There are 4 different kinds of goo monsters. One's a dude. Another one's a dude with a big arm. Another one's a dog, or a dude that acts like a dog. And then another one's a fat dude.
Yep.
And these goo monsters, I don't know how we feel about. I mean, I think they're terrifying. Especially the way when they show up the first time, where you just see like the goo, the mold or whatever on the walls, and it just like comes out of the mold. I'm like, oh fuck, and it's not a cutscene or anything. It just happens in front of you, and you have to react like or immediately be like, oh fuck, what am I doing with this? Yeah. But Tony, you were gonna say something.
No, I was just saying the worst part of that is just being in the fucking basement.
Yeah, the basement.
The basement's terrible.
The hardest part of the game.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part of the game.
Basement is just terrible.
It's the part of the game where you will have the least amount of ammo and see the most amount of enemies while having the least amount of ammo.
Yeah.
So it kind of runs into this thing of you trying to pick and choose
who you should shoot and who you shouldn't.
Yeah, and who you're gonna run by and like all that kind of shit. Your basement sucks in terms of just scary. You get do some puzzle stuff around the basement. And eventually we get to the point where you fight Dad. You actually fight Dad.
Yeah,
proper boss battle. And in this game, compared to other Resident Evil games,
this boss battle was a little different.
Yeah, like the boss battles in this game are kind of a bit more subdued, I would say, like not in terms of a negative way, just like they're not over the top for a while. Eventually they reach over top part, but but when you fight him, it's just you're fighting him. That's it. You're fighting him. It's not like him and he's turned into like a Megazord or something. It's just him. But the catch is just that as you're fighting him, you're
kicking.
He's got to change. Yeah, you're kicking bodies into him shooting him or whatever until he's had enough of it. Or like he takes a knee and some meaty shit comes out of him because it's Resident Evil. There always got to be meaty shit. And eventually he turns into a chainsaw battle where you just chainsaw him to death. And then eventually like his upper half explodes. I don't know if you guys know, but there's like an insta kill move he can do to you.
In there? The
talking about when he runs
the
at
scissors.
you? Yeah, the scissor shit.
Yeah, the scissor chainsaw thing. That was like on my 3rd playthrough. I was just like, what the fuck?
I didn't notice that until after like my 2nd or 3rd playthrough. Yeah, it didn't happen to me the very first time.
So you kill him there, and he's actually dead this time.
Or is he?
Ooh. After that, you're finally able to get out of the house. And there's a trailer in the middle, which acts as your hub. Your safe.
Zoe.
We just say Zoe because it's like Joe, but with a Z.
Okay, gotcha. Zoe's trailer,
yeah. You find the trailer. Trailer works as your hub. And oh fuck, I almost forgot. Before this, when you're in the house, you find another tape, and it's Mia's tape. And it's Mia running away from Marguerite in a spot that you will be going to later.
Yeah.
That videotape can kiss my ass. It's a lot of like, you spend a good portion of that tape, unless I'm doing it wrong, just waiting.
Yeah.
You wait. Because essentially she's running away from Marguerite. And it's a very, and I could be wrong, but at least in my experience, once again, it's a very scripted portion where like, okay, you hide in this spot, you wait.
Yeah.
You hide, then move forward, hide in this spot, you wait. Okay, then go here, hide in this spot, wait, you go in the hole, and then she comes and gets you. I would say actually playing it first time play, I was just like, oh fuck, especially when I'm running away for the first time, just like, yo, where do I go?
Where am I going? Right. I remember that.
So I guess going from that tape to now you enter the house, the second house or whatever, the one with Marguerite, which I guess is like I don't know if it's like supposed to be a greenhouse type thing or something like that. So you get in this house and there's a lot of bugs. So I guess there's a different kind of enemy other than goo men. Yeah. There's a lot of bugs, flying bugs, sometimes, and then spiders whose sole purpose is just to be in the way of gates,
doors,
or like
gates or
like
doors,
or something. The bugs at first they do the what they do with the bugs is something that we talked about in the past with what was it? Sea of Stars.
Sea of Stars.
They blue ball you.
Yeah.
They blue ball you because they're the bugs that just kind of like fly around you, or like the bigger ones. Those are whatever. You just knife them. Yeah. It's whatever.
The swarms you can't get.
The swarms
you can't really. You got to burn those.
Yeah, and you will fucking hate. I hate them so much. It's just so annoying because even when they get up to you, like you start running away, and they're gonna catch up. They're going to catch up, and then afterwards it's just like, just you taking damage. You're like, come on, man. Eventually, you find the parts for the flamethrower, put that shit together, and then it gets to a point where Marguerite starts chasing you around the house. So now she has replaced Jack's position as the chaser.
Yeah,
and her shtick compared to Jack is that she sends the swarms of bugs at you. The bugs come from her, apparently.
Right.
She sends swarms of bugs at you. It's very obnoxious, but also she's significantly easier to avoid than Jack. Yeah,
she's a lot slower than Jack too. She walks around the house a lot slower than him. Yeah,
so like there's like frequently when I play the game, I'll see her there's a time where she goes like, get the fuck out. I think it's exactly what she says. But, the first time you see her, and then it's just like the next time I see her is when we fight. That's it.
The only time you can really get caught up is if you're outside on the docks and she's outside with you. Yeah, that's the only time you can really get caught up. Other than that, it's pretty easy to avoid her in that section of the house.
Yeah. So you're working your way through the house. Now you have flamethrower. You're able to destroy the hives. You get to a part where you need a key to get to a door that's in the house. You get into, when you finally get that key, is easily the not cheapest, but like the most offensive jump scare that they do in the game. Where like she was literally just chasing you. And somehow you're working your way up the stairs to this to the door to open it now that you have the key. All of a sudden she just comes from right around the corner and just like shoves you down a hole.
Shoves you down the hole,
and you fight her for the first time there. She's just kind of above you, raining bugs down or something like that. You shoot her. It's like kind of a, I would say it's like a scripted thing there.
Did she turn into that weird version of herself yet?
Not yet.
No, not yet. No.
That's after you open the door to that room, find out that you need like a lantern or a lamp. You need a lantern.
Yeah, you need a chem fluid and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Or you need a lantern to work like a scale. And you need to even the scale by putting the lantern on it, which you always see her walking around with one. So you quickly put two and two together and realize you need her lantern to counter, like as a counterweight for this thing, even though you could just put your finger on it and then just press down. But it's a video game,
Resident
and it's
Evil.
A horror game specifically, and horror is built on tropes. So suspension of disbelief here. You go back to get the lamp, and now she's fallen in the hole that you were in, And the game does this, you know, you're like, oh, you motherfuckers. Where you go look down the hole and you see a lantern there, and you just see a really long arm just come and grab the lantern and then just pull it into a hole, like further in. And
it was the creepiest shit when I first saw it. I was like, what the fuck is that?
I mean, it's also how they introduce her, the boss fight of her. You go down the hole. Now it takes you to a greenhouse.
Yeah.
You go inside the greenhouse and you're working your way through, and all of a sudden she just comes bursting out of a window trying to fucking grab you. It turns out that her final form is like Stretch Armstrong. Or like pregnant Stretch Armstrong or something like that. And she's got like super long limbs and climbs on walls and like gives birth to bugs, and it's fucking gross. And she also takes like an insane amount of shots to die.
Have you noticed that they do that in a lot of these like horror video games? Like the Evil Within 2 had a pregnant lady that burst out spiders and all types of bugs and shit like that. So you know, it's like one of those things. It's like a staple. You know what? There's a woman in this game. Let's make her pregnant and have bugs come out of her. like
her stomach just, or some shit.
It's just really wild. But that fight. Are we at the fight?
Yeah, we're at the fight. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was that fight hard for you guys at first?
I think it's the hardest one in the game.
It was one of the harder ones for me because I felt like when you fight her, if you're not burning her, you're just wasting that. And especially when she started calling other shit to come and get you. Like I think I burned through ammo so quickly in this fight.
She was a big ammo dump.
Yeah, she really
she's
was.
A huge ammo sink, yeah. And the thing is, like, up to this point, ammo's tight. Ammo's pretty tight, especially in the beginning when you get to the basement. Ammo's very tight. When you get into the house, it's not as bad. Or by the time you fight, I was saying by the time you leave the house after you fought Jack, you start getting a little more comfortable with ammo. Once you're done with her, it's like, you know, you're not completely back to square one, but you're square 1.5.
I was back to square one. I had like 2 handgun bullets.
Like I was just like I wasted so much ammo shooting her.
Like when I just fought her recently, the same shit happened to me. I'm like, God damn, she takes so many shots.
Yes, she does.
Like, I look at that and it's annoying, but also I think it's like really, 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 really good game design. That you have just enough ammo to kill her.
Yeah.
And like I ended up with 2 bullets and was like, you gave me just enough to do this.
Yeah, because I got to the very end of that fight and I had just enough to deal with whatever else came before it dropped something to give me something because I was butt naked after that fight. It was bad. I was naked and afraid.
So after that fight, now you dealt with the dad, you dealt with the mom. Now it's time to deal with the son. Turns out the son's a dickhead. Like he's just a douchebag. Because he kidnaps or takes Mia, and does he also take Zoe? He takes Zoe too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did take Zoe. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's pretty much just playing a game with you, like fucking Jigsaw or something.
Yeah, serial killer. He likes setting up intricate traps. You know, you find out like he's super smart. You know, he has electrical background. You find out, go through his files, find out that he's a bioweapons engineer. Actually,
by the way, we have missed a crucial part of the family. Grandma. As we're walking through the house. There we go, Grandma. By the way, for anybody that hasn't played this, well. Everybody that has played this game, you have seen Grandma just.
Yep.
Every other room, as you're going about, you see her rocking, but no one questions to say anything. Like Ethan never. I don't even think he just brought it up once. I only think he brought it up one time, and other than that, I've never heard him anytime Grandma's in the room.
Because they put her like jump scares, man. She's just like you go, there was nothing there. You turn the corner, all of a sudden she's just. In the fucking hallway, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Grandma's just there, bro.
Yeah.
And you're I guess I'm gonna leave Grandma for the end. Or like I'm thinking I would talk about. Yeah.
Well, I mean she's present throughout the whole thing.
She is present throughout the game, but in terms of elaborating on Grandma.
Yeah.
So So yeah, like Lucas is setting up all these, like saw-like traps for you. But first he wants you to get some like keys to even go into the house that he's in. And you go to the house that he's in, all of a sudden it's just like a fucking game show or something. Like you're working your way before you even get to I guess that specific part, you're working your way through the hallways or something, and there's like half the boxes there have bombs in them, and then like the hallways are full of tripwire, and all sorts of shit.
You're you open up boxes with your knife to get ammo, to get collectibles, and like this whole place is trapped. So like you have to think twice about opening a box. I think at some point I was like shooting it open, wasting ammo.
I just stopped opening boxes.
Yeah. I opened all the boxes. I just started wasting ammo, trying to not get killed. And it's like by the end of it, I think I came out with like 5 more bullets doing it that way.
Yeah, I was after like the second or third one off. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not doing this anymore. So you work your way through this whole like, booby trap filled place. And then you get to the part where it's like a fucking game show. Yeah. And that's where you meet the fat guys for the first time. I completely skipped over when you met the dogs. They're easily the worst enemies in the game. The worst enemies in the game.
Fair enough.
You meet the fat guys, and they're also just gigantic ammo sinks. But also at this part, aside from trolling you with shit, they're also, I feel like this is where the game kind of just starts throwing ammo at you as well.
This becomes an action game.
Yeah, like pretty much after the part with, I would say pretty much once you enter the house, it like they start dialing back the scary a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like after you beat Marguerite, it kind of not this. I wouldn't say the game gets bad, but it's just
the game gets not as good.
Yeah, it's more action paced than anything.
Yeah. So you eventually, after working your way through these, like, what's essentially like these fight rooms of just killing these big guys or killing enemies and stuff, you get to the saw room, which is it's just a big puzzle room. I think you're on a timer or not. I can't remember. Or you're not on a timer, but you just have to, if you do the wrong solution, you die.
You're on a timer in the balloon room, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The balloon room.
And so, the thing about this room is that pretty much every solution that seems obvious to you, winds up getting you killed. And the trick to this room is that before this point, there was another tape. Somehow there was a tape of a guy who also did the same room, but didn't win. Things did not end well for him. But what you play as that guy solving the puzzles in the room,
I believe,
or at least solving it the wrong way. Clad, fucking Craig. No, you kind of solve the puzzle the wrong way and get killed as that guy. Yeah. So then as Ethan what not to do.
Well, you know that the game is rigged. Like he's going to kill you no matter what. Like what's his name? Baker. Lucas is cheating.
Yeah. Like it's super duper rigged. So you know what not to do when you play as Ethan.
Right.
You solve the puzzle. He wasn't it dumb as hell? Like you just pushed the dynamite back through or something like that. I forget. Yeah. Like it was like, oh hey, you're screwed now, boy. It's just like, no, you. And that's it.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. He is the only family member that once you're done with all his shit, he gets away. And like he just gets away. He does not die.
Yeah, you find out like little tidbits while you're doing this part. That he's so we didn't talk. Do we know about the little girl at this point?
No, that kind of comes up when you get on the boat.
All right. So we know that they're all under control of like this mold stuff, right?
Actually, you see the little girl. You see the little girl.
When you go into her room in Marguerite's house.
Yeah, you do see her. Yeah. But you learn about her, but she's not prevalent yet.
Yeah.
But you know,
like that. No, you're aware that there is a little girl, but in terms of it being a thing that like is front and center. That comes in that like starts really coming up once you get on the ship.
Well, because Zoe tells you like, oh, this little girl is controlling everybody in their phone calls, right? And you need to get the
serum or
the
whatever.
serum to break free of her. So like, I think at this point, you know, right? But you played it the most recent.
Kinda like you're aware, but it's not like I said. It becomes really, really, really front and center once you get on the boat.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
But you kind of know. So like, I think at this point you find out that Lucas isn't actually under her control. Like he's just a creep. Like he's the odd man out in this family. And that he's actually like spying on them, doing experiments this whole time for like a third party or something. And it's like,
yep.
And then he just gets away and then doesn't come up for the rest of the game, I think.
No, you don't see him again
until the DLC.
Yep. So at this point, after you've done Lucas stuff, you have like three doses of the vaccine. Or not vaccine, fucking, let's not get too political
doses.
here.
Two doses.
Two?
Yeah.
Is it two?
Okay. Yeah, it was two doses.
You get 2 doses, so it was going to be one for Zoe, one for... Or it was going to be one, I can't remember.
One for
exactly.
Zoe and one for Ethan.
Yeah, one for Ethan.
Yeah.
So both Mia and Zoe have the bad juju.
Right.
Now you have to choose.
You have to choose. Before then, turns out Dad's not dead.
Yes.
Dad's not dead, and he turns into then he becomes a Resident Evil boss.
Yeah.
This fight was crazy.
Yeah, it's like the biggest.
Yeah,
you could
the
probably
big
call it
bad,
the
the
last
Megazord
boss
at the end
game.
of Power Rangers all the
yeah.
time. Yeah.
If you played every Resident Evil game, and this game is so different, this is the point where it's like, oh, I am playing a Resident Evil game. Like this.
Yeah. You always have to have one big grotesque creature that has one a glowy eyeball
eyes.
or weak spot. Yeah. It always has to have one of those in there. I don't think I know one Resident Evil where there wasn't
that.
a fucking just one creature with an eye that you had to shoot. I don't think
the way they explain it. I think I think it's always in Resident Evil 5. The way they explain like why every enemy has a weak point is because when something mutates that fast, they always have a weak point.
They explained that in 5?
Yeah,
Shit, I need to replay 5.
Good
I
for
didn't
them
even hear that.
Good for them to give enough of a shit.
Yeah,
right. Giving shit enough to explain that.
Zelda doesn't.
I think when they're on the speedboat and that arms dealer takes the serum. They're like,
it becomes the fish.
Chris is like, when something mutates that fast, they always have a weak point.
Wow, thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
Chris.
It fucking hit the giant enemy crab for massive damage or some shit like that one.
Yeah.
So you fight Dad, and you realize that pretty much the only way to stop him is you're gonna have to inject the shit into him.
Oh, so you do have 3 serum. You do have 3 serums at that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, did you? I thought you only had... Okay, my bad.
Yeah. So no, for the 3 of you, but then you had to use one to stop Dad.
Yeah.
Right.
So then it comes to the big important choice in this role playing game that you have to either choose Zoe or Mia to give the other serum thing to.
Mia's your wife.
Mia's
just a preference.
Yeah, Mia's your wife, and Zoe is actually helpful.
Yeah.
And so
and your wife cuts your arm off. She goes crazy sometimes. She brought you to this house. She has secrets. She has secrets.
Yeah. And you come to find out that people like that you need as far away from you as humanly fucking possible.
Yeah. So you give the serum to Zoe.
Yeah. But, you give the serum to Zoe, and in this role-playing game, okay, I'm gonna stop talking shit. So there's, the canonical one is to give the thing to Mia, right. Because if you give it to Zoe,
it's game over immediately.
For her.
Yeah, for her. Yeah.
You also turn into a statue, don't you?
Do you? No,
yeah.
No. No, the game continues if you pick
The game continues. So it doesn't have anything. Whoever you pick, it doesn't have any
It doesn't matter.
Like result other than the final cutscene. That's about it.
Yeah.
But doesn't all right? So
First time I played the game, I picked Zoe and I beat the game. So like, no. What happens is that you're on the boat and then she just gets turned into fucking Pompeii and dies.
Yeah.
But pretty. I think you get wrapped in goo or some shit, but you don't die because
how does Mia save you after you?
she still saves you.
Oh,
she
still saves you.
That's why it's just kind of one of those choices where it's like, what the fuck was the point? If
Right,
the only difference is like if Mia makes it to the end of the game, but regardless, Zoe maybe does it. Well, I guess you'll elaborate on the DLC stuff. So
because I didn't play that, so
yeah. So you save Mia, assuming that you're doing the canonical choice. But then you guys get gooed up. And essentially it cuts to Mia. You start playing as Mia. While you're playing it, I don't know why I go into I'll just talk about the part itself. So in Mia, you're exploring this ship that crashed nearby, and you're kind of reading up on this as you're playing through the game. If you care to read like the pickups that are in the house,
Right.
or in the, whatever, their property. You're finding things where they're talking about some ship crash nearby, some big like freighter or something like that. Yeah. And now you're in that ship and you're exploring and you're seeing a bunch of goo monsters. This is where they start tying in Resident Evil into this Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
So the ship is if I'm not mistaken, is Umbrella.
Yeah.
And this is where they were doing a bunch of fuck shit, as they always do, because like borderline comic book, evil corporation. The only way it could be worse is if their fucking employees pissed in bottles or something. And
pissed in bottles.
This place is full of goo monsters, and then you find a tape in the ship. You put the tape in, and it's Mia, but essentially before the ship crashed.
Right.
So it turns out she's been an Umbrella operative the whole time, or something like that, or someone who works at the company.
Scientist.
Yeah, scientists. Yeah. And they were transporting, if I'm not mistaken, and this is like always the part with me in stories that I become shaky on, but like they were transporting their experiment, which was this little girl, Evelyn.
Right.
She has the power of goo or mold specifically.
The power of mold.
Yeah. And she, like pretty much wraps people in mold. They either die or turn into monsters or some shit like that,
Well, she
or
can
get
control
controlled by them.
Yeah.
Or controlled by them. Yeah. And so what you're essentially playing throughout this tape is the downfall of this ship. What happened, how the events prior to Resident Evil 7. But one thing you're noticing is that like this only happened a few years before or something. It happened very like recently enough. So eventually you continue, it goes back to current Mia, you're done with the tape, you work your way through the ship, and eventually you get to the bottom and you free Ethan, who's encased in like a thing of mold. And from there, like pretty much little girl shows up, or the goo, I forget what exactly, but I think a little girl shows up or something. And Mia gets stopped or like gets gooed up, molded up. And as Ethan, you kind of like, the fight goes on, you live on. Continue fighting, and then you pretty much just go through the like at this point it's full on ass blasting Resident Evil. You work your way through like the like I guess kind of a facility mines type section or something like that.
So
like underground facility type shit.
The story with that is a company, third unnamed company came here and like they gave a serum to Lucas, and Lucas became like their inside man and spied on the family and gave them research information, and they had an outpost in the mines, and then eventually Evelyn came along and just destroyed all of them. And Lucas is now looking for like a third party to sell all this information to.
Yeah, he's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
So right before you go and like start playing as Ethan again, you're in the goo and you have a vision. And now this is going back to what we were talking about earlier, where you see the family. You're kind of in there. You're like in the network with the family in their living room or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when Jack is like going, "Hey man, you know, she's just looking for her family, but also, you know, someone should probably take her out to pasture or something."
Yeah. My family's trapped here.
Yeah.
You gotta save us, Ethan.
Yeah. That's when you kind of find out, or when it becomes obvious that like, oh shit, hey, you know, they're
victims.
This is a regular family, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a regular family that just, you know, found themselves in this very irregular situation. So pretty much at the end, and you know, one of you guys can fill in the blanks if you want, but pretty much at this point, you now know that Evelyn is the old lady, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that because of the experiments on her, essentially made her age rapidly.
Yeah.
So in the span of like 4 years, she aged like fucking 80 years or something like that.
Anytime you see Evelyn, it's like you're infected. She's in your head. So anytime you see Evelyn as the little girl, it's not real. You know,
it's the image she's portraying to you of who she was before she became old.
Yeah, and her whole shtick, like Jack said, is just that the reason why she is the way she is, that she wants a family. She never had a family of her own, and she wants a family, so that's why
she wants Ethan to be dad and Mia to be mom.
Yeah. So like any good dad, Ethan
had to put her
kills
down.
her.
No, I'm sorry.
I was going there anyway.
Oh God.
But essentially, it ends with you injecting. You get another serum thing, or I forget what exactly. But like, you inject her. She starts going she starts melting or something like that, like the Wicked Witch of the West or some shit.
Yeah.
And she turns into a big goo monster. You shoot her a bunch of times. Chris shows up. Had facial reconstruction surgery.
Yeah,
right.
Lost a lot of his muscle, but still super strong.
So let's talk about that for a second. So we remember from Resident Evil 5 how fucking this man was on, the roidiest of roids.
Yeah.
Because
he's on the
Chris was so fucking big in Resident Evil 5, it was outlandish. And you know, I talked with some friends they was talking about 7, and they was just like, what the fuck happened? Like,
bro, he don't even look like Chris.
He don't even look like Chris. He went from punching boulders to like just.
It's like some Spartacus shit, man. I'm Chris.
Yeah, well, when 7 came about, clearly they were doing a reworking of the whole series. Because, when they did the remakes, Jill looks completely different. Leon is perfect, so he looks exactly the same.
Not gonna flex. In Resident Evil 8,
they made Chris look the same?
He looked the same, but
he looks like a mature old Chris.
Yeah. But what's the old girl's name? Ada, right? She looked a little different. A little different. But Ada still kind of has the whole stick of Ada.
Yeah.
Same.
Ada's still Ada. It's just the voice actor is different.
Yeah. But Chris did not look like Chris anymore.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot she was an 8.
Yeah. So in 8,
and I played through 8 like 5 times, and I think she
was an 8, wasn't she?
Ada was an 8.
I could be wrong. Hold on, let me check. Maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe I'm thinking of Resident Evil 2 remake.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Resident
Evil 2 remake. I know she's in Resident Evil 2.
No, she wasn't an 8. That's my fault.
Okay,
I think she.
All right. No, she's not. I had to look that up too. Okay, I was like, I don't remember her being in there. I was sure. Okay, but Chris definitely looks like old Chris in Resident Evil 8. But that's neither here nor there for this episode. Particularly.
Clean shaven.
Yeah.
He just looked weird. Did look weird.
Yeah. No. I mean, he looked like I don't know, man.
A dude.
He looked like a dude. Like he could be a Call of Duty, your Warzone character, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So pretty much that's where the main game ends. You kill Evelyn, stop her. You get on the helicopter with Chris, and assuming that you gave the serum to Mia, she's also there with you. Mm-hmm. Happy ending. Ethan out of 10. So now we get into the DLCs.
So
I guess
I'll take this over because
I'll
nothing.
knock out the Chris one real quick.
Yeah,
because I think that's like a direct continuation.
Main one.
Yeah. So the Chris one, you go back into like the underground mine facility area. And you're pretty much on the hunt for Lucas, who you now know is an official cuck, and you're gonna stop him. So you know, as you're working through this, that's at least this is where I can really recall finding all this shit, talking about all the experiments and all the stuff that Lucas specifically was doing or a part of. And that's like, oh, okay, he's a real piece of shit. Okay, I get it now. Like he was just kind of like a rogue agent. Like I could be wrong, but I remember specifically in the DLC where all that shit was brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
We
didn't even talk about like when you see Chris in the main game for like a split second. He just says, "Hi, I'm Chris Redfield. I'm here to save you," and that's
I'm here to save you.
But he
Throws
has
down the
like
gun.
an umbrella logo on his jacket. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
he did
so
have
we're like,
one, right?
What the fuck does that mean?
Because in all of the story portions that we understood, he never worked for them, right?
No, he
Not
hates
once.
umbrella.
No,
he
yeah,
worked
it's
for
a
the
complete-
BSAA, which is like
Yeah.
straight anti
Umbrella. like deals with umbrellas bullshit
So like
kind of thing.
him having an umbrella patch on him is like sacrilege.
Did that ever get explained? I'm sorry. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Let me look that up real fast because I
Go
don't
for it.
remember that.
Yeah. Like
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
So in the DLC, pretty much you're on the hunt for Lucas. You're working your way through the mine facility again. Eventually, you find him. Lucas does the Resident Evil thing, injects himself with some shit, becomes a monster, and you kill him. That part is like the most Call of Duty. I guess speaking of him being a Warzone character, you know, you have an assault rifle, you have a shit ton of ammo.
Yeah.
Like I think you have night vision goggles too, if I remember correctly. Like, it's it kind of like directly wraps up the story, I would say, for Resident Evil 7 in like as a bubble, but there's still the other DLCs that I haven't played, which Snarf did. What up?
Yeah.
So it says Chris worked with Umbrella in 7 because he was a consultant sent by the BSAA. They said it's clearly explained in the Not a Hero DLC.
Clearly explained,
Oh.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know about clearly, but
I didn't play. I would say I did not play it recently, like that DLC, so I could just forget.
But I'm looking at a photo, and they have clearly changed his design from 7 to 8 to 6, 7, and 8. All of them, like they all look drastically. The closest is 6 and 8.
Yeah, 6 and 8. 8 looks just like an older Chris.
Older
but
version
also,
of 6, right?
Yeah, and also keeping in mind that the graphics got a lot better since then.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was between 6 and 7. Like they were doing the reworking because you know Claire looks completely different in Resident Evil 2. Jill looks completely different. Carlos looks completely different. Like everybody looks different except for Leon because he's perfect. Right?
Yeah, and also because like those characters you mentioned, well, except for Jill.
Okay,
but
so
those are characters that like only lived in those old games for the most part.
right.
So, you know, in terms of like making them look newer, there's such a gigantic gap there as opposed to like now everyone knows how Leon looks because Resident Evil 4.
So the explanation for Chris looking different in 7 was because Capcom confirmed they used new photo scan technology in the game, and using photo scan meant that characters were based on real models and thus looked a little bit more realistic compared to the hand created characters of the past. So, and they knew that, so they fixed it with Resident Evil
With 8. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So, Snarf, you want to go into the other DLCs?
Oh yeah. All right.
Please.
So I guess I'll go for the less interesting one. The Lost Files, right? It's just a bunch of VHS tapes of like people that were in the house before, specifically Clyde, the guy who burnt in the
the birthday party
in
thing
the
or
birthday
whatever.
party thing. There's a horde mode where you have to survive in a basement for like 12 minutes or something. You get like a a scrap system where you can make weapons. It's like fabricator. So you make your shotguns, you make your traps, you make all that stuff, and you're just mowing down waves and waves of enemies. And there are boss battles in between where you shoot like Jack Baker comes around and says, "Hey boy, come here," and it's like you take him out. But it's just survive a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And then once you beat it, you unlock more weapons that you start out with. So it's just fun. It's not really story related. Next one is all right. So an escape room. It's you're chained to the bed, and the Marguerite, the mom, comes in, tries to feed you, says, "Hey, you got to eat this," and then you're like, "No, it tastes like shit," and then she's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, I remember in the beginning where she was like, "He's a son of a bitch," and then just runs off.
So that one was fucking. All right, hindsight, looking back on it, cool. Playing it, fucking frustrating as hell.
Oh, was it just like, oh, well, you have to use a ladder to put on top of the stone slab, and then you put charcoal underneath, and that's how you grill the meat.
Well, yes.
Like those kinds of puzzles.
But even worse. It's an escape room. It's a single room. It's an escape room. So you untie yourself. You find a lantern. You find stuff around the room, and you're trying to get your way out of the room. And you're moving everything away, and then a timer goes off, and it says you have 1 minute until Marguerite gets here. So you put yourself back into the bed, and chain yourself back up, and then she comes around, and she's like, "Why is that picture moved?"
And then kills you.
And then kills you, and then you have to start all over again. So you start all over again, and you try to get faster and faster and faster, and then you get as fast as you can. You get as fast as you can, and she still comes in and kills you, and then you're like, what? And then you go back to the option, like you get back into the bed, and you're like, why? I don't know what to do. There is an option, just wait for Marguerite to come back, and then you click that option. She comes in with a new plate of food with stuff you need to finish the puzzle.
So do you have to reset everything and then redo it again?
Yes.
That would have pissed me off.
Everything. You have to reset everything. She brings more stuff, and then you have to do more stuff, and then you have to do it a third time. You have to put everything back, and then that would
have pissed me off.
Ooh.
That would have pissed me off. I would have been like, wait, do you pay for this DLC?
I mean, it was cheap. It was really cheap.
Fuck you, Capcom.
There's a sale right now.
it could have been on disc DLC. You know, that was the thing they used to do.
Capcom started that with Tekken Cross Street Fighter.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken, yeah.
That pissed me off. And then there's the card game. It's just strictly the card game. You play as Clyde. It's the card game.
All right, so going on to the next DLC.
Yeah,
the one where you stuffing dudes.
that DLC is fun as hell. You play as the infamous, the well referenced during the main game,
the Guardian of Great Renown,
the Guardian of Great Renown, the Paladin of the Swamp, Joe Baker. Jack Baker's brother.
Like Zoba with a J.
He is not referenced at all.
All?
So the opening cutscene is you have two soldiers standing over Zoe because she's fucked up, and they're like, okay, we got to get her out of here. We got to save her. And then Swamp Man comes out of swamp. He says, "What'd you do to my niece?" And then two fully armed guys are like, sir, we're here to help. And he says, "I don't trust you," and then proceeds to mollywop these two fully armed dudes with his fists. And takes them both out, ties them up, and picks up Zoe, takes her to, I guess he's living there. He's lived there the whole time. He's lived there the whole 3 years.
Wow. But no mention of this man in the whole story of the game. But
and he does not know what the fuck is going on. So
does he sound like the South Park They sound like the South Park Louisiana guy. Go no.
Almost. So this fucking paladin of the swamp just has been living there for 3 years, has not known anything. he's just swamp man that lives out on the property on his own. Comes across at the end. This is definitely way after the game. Fucking beats up everybody, and so he ties up one of the soldiers. The soldier says, "We have a serum for him. My friend put it in a cabin somewhere." And it's like, okay. So you go trek the swamp, and the way you don't have weapons, you don't have anything. You got your fists.
You got your mitts.
I got 2 guns right here for you.
So he has combos. He has like a left, right. So that's the one I use the most. It's left, and then ba 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 ba. That stuns enemies. And you're fighting the mold monsters that are way taller than you, have big ass claws, and you just beating the shit out of them. And then eventually they're like, "Oh my
so Chris trained this man in the swamp."
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, guys. Give me just a sec. I gotta step out. Okay. I'll be back.
Do you think?
1 hour 30. 1 hour 31. 1:31. Age 31. Whew.
So how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
You started packing?
Yeah, the wife is sorting right now.
And move is next week or the week after?
The move is next week.
Nice. You got everything set up?
For
Or
the most part,
you got like are you going straight into the apartment, or?
Yeah, we're going straight to the house, to the rental property. Cool. Set up, get everything situated. I think the last things to be packed up would be most of our bathroom stuff, the computers, because she still needs to work on stuff, and our bedroom set.
Cool.
I'll probably pack up the bedroom set
Saturday
or Sunday. Saturday night.
Okay,
probably.
Sorry, my bad.
All right, good. Pause.
All right.
And continue. Go ahead.
So you fucking these guys up and
So you mollywop them, actually mollywop them, which means hitting them with your dick instead of your name on the forehead.
Yeah, you start out with he has his own survival guide, and it's pretty much they're hard in the body, soft in the head, stomp on their head. It's like, okay.
Wow. I really think Chris trained this man.
Yeah, this guy is amazing. He's the best.
Yeah, I need to play that.
Yeah, so you make your way to the cabin. You find the vial. It's like a quarter full, and then you make your way back, and you inject Zoe, but she doesn't work. And then the guy's like, "It wasn't full, was it? You got to give her a full vial or for it to work." And then you're in the shack. It's on fire for some reason when you get back.
Wow.
And a hand comes through and pulls the tied up guy out and then throws him back through the window, but he's in half. And then you're like, uh-oh.
No fucking. Okay, you told me about this before. Is this who I think it is?
So wait. Then you look out the window and it's literally Swamp Monster, right? Like the comic Swamp Man or something.
Yeah, Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. So you pick up Zoe, you get on a boat that's in the back of your house, and you go anywhere. To a different place, to the facility that's out there, and there's a big metal wall, and he's like, "When did this get here?" And he's like, most oblivious man in the world if he's so he goes to the research facility. You have to fight your way through alligators. You find spears around, and you can chuck them at them, and then you put Zoe down. Oh, there's sneak attacks. You can come up behind people and snap their neck.
Oh, I thought he was about to say come up behind the gator. So I'm about to say what?
Yeah, that's how they wrestle gators, man.
No, you come up behind the molds and like you grab them by the face and you just 360 their head. You know?
What the fuck is this guy?
He's crazy.
Son of Wesker, the actual son of Wesker.
Right.
And you find like little boxing effigies, like little dolls that give you 1%, 0.1%, no, 1%, 1%.
1 point.
Damage increase. And like I found like 20 or 30 of them. So he just kept on getting stronger and stronger.
This man is a regular Mike Tyson.
Yeah, he's real good. So you fight your way through the like the base camp that has clearly been fucked up, and then you find the medicine, you make the medicine, but then the computer stops working, and it's like, what the fuck? And then he starts punching the machine, and then the machine starts working again.
He's a hacker too.
He's a hacker. And then Swamp Thing comes back and fucking picks you up and throws you through the floor. And now you're in this little ring. And then you get up and then you fucking reload your fists. And he's like, all right, come on, motherfucker. and Swamp Thing boxes.
Wow.
When we say reloads his fist, you mean like Henry Cavill in the fucking Mission Impossible movie? Where he actually goes.
Grows a full beard. So this boss fight's great. It's great because Joe Baker is him.
He's that guy. I got you.
He's just that guy. And it's first person boxing. You're going ba 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 ba, and you get him on the floor and you fucking pick him up and suplex him through, like pile drive him through the floor again. Like Joe Baker picks him up, pile drives this dude twice, and eventually you knock out Swamp Thing and go. Oh no, you tear Swamp Thing's head off. You go here with your hands, and he's looking at you. The eye is still looking at you, and his face is covered because of Swamp Thing. And you throw the head into the ocean, while the body's just staying there.
Where the fuck was Joe during this whole crisis? Jesus.
No, he could have solved this a long time ago. So you go back to Mia. You're about to inject her. Swamp Thing comes out from the ocean behind her, grabs her. Before you
Mia
can
or Joe or Zoe.
Zoe.
Oh, okay,
Zoe. Okay.
Yeah. Grabs Zoe before you can inject her and takes her into the swamp. And then he's like, fuck. So you follow him on the boat and you find him in a different island later. Again, Swamp Thing is still alive and taking Zoe. And then you get to this place. It's a very narrow path. Like 3, 4, 5 enemies spawn behind you, and you're like, I can't really do that. All I have is my fists. So you just run around, you turn around and you run, right? And at the end of the road is the perfect weapon for you, the fucking Sonic glove.
Wow.
Where you can charge up.
Wait.
You have like a Sonic fist.
All right. Okay.
That got outlandish. Wait, did it look like Knuckles' glove?
It looked like it looked like a metal piece that went up to here, and you charge it up and it shoots it does electrical strikes. And he's like,
he got them Kratos gauntlets on.
Yeah, right.
So then you turn around and face all the enemies. You charge up and he's like, knuckle power, and you send him flying across the damn place. And it's like now it's like you're him plus.
Yeah, you're him plus he now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then you go to the final boss fight, which is Swampman. But you punch Swampman in the face, and he has like a cowl kind of, and you take the cowl off, and it reveals it's Jack Baker. Ethan did not kill Jack Baker.
Didn't he? Even though I feel like you clearly killed him when you injected him.
Nope.
Like
Nope.
No.
So this is after, correct?
Yes, this is after.
Okay, so
Resident
why
Evil
is
7.
Zoe still there?
Zoe is.
You never saw her die.
Yeah, we never saw her die. She
Yeah.
got
Okay.
she's frozen, like she's molded, right? So you're trying to get the serum to cure her. Like once you split from the doc and you inject Mia and not Zoe, she goes away. And
Gotcha.
that's it.
As opposed to like if you give her the serum, she dies.
You know would have been a really good addition to that DLC?
What?
Being able to play through the whole goddamn game as
Yeah.
just boxing the shit out of motherfuckers.
So now is the final boss fight with Jack and Joe. It's the same boss fight as before. You box the shit out of him, except you have the Sonic Glove. So you charge up the Sonic Glove and you smack him across the side of the head. And you inject Zoe, and you save her, and you're picked up by the armyman, and then I think this was stupid. Zoe gets a phone call, and he says, "Hey, somebody wants to talk to you." Gets on the phone. It's Ethan. He says, "I told you I'd send help," and I'm like,
You sent Joe?
"No, Ethan."
What the? Ethan says I told you I sent help?
Yeah, told it to Zoe.
Implying that he hit up
Implying that he sent up Joe to...
Yeah.
I told you he learned his punch skills from Ethan.
No, he said from Chris.
That connection I didn't make. I don't think that was the case. I think it's just he sent the army. He sent Chris.
Okay. So he... Okay. But they're not the ones. Okay.
They didn't save him.
They didn't do
Joe
shit.
did.
So wait. Ethan called Zoe.
Yes.
Yo, he just gaslit the fuck out of her.
I thought it was Chris that called Zoe talking about I told you I'd send help. All right, cool. So Ethan calls Zoe and says, I told you I'd send help. And that was supposed to be the army. Because I got a little triggered. I was just like, hey, yo, what the fuck?
No, but he didn't do. It's like that's the ending. That's the end, and then it fades to black. He says,
"Yeah,
I told you I'd keep my promise. I told you I'd save you. You didn't really do.
You didn't really do shit.
It was Joe
you sent Roy Jones Jr. to do your dirty work. You didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah,
fucking pre-prison Tyson. Just
I'm gonna go hip yeah.
At the end of the game, you unlock the shotgun for the DLC, and it's like, I don't want
what the fuck? But I got the guns right here.
I got the guns. Like, why do I need the shotgun when I just went through the game with these mitts,
these cannons? Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's the DLC.
Yeah, that's. I need to play that one. I need to play that one. Actually,
I'm interested.
I just been sitting on it. I haven't touched it. I need to play that one.
It's fucking.
It sounds fun. You know, like it reminds. You know, honestly, you talking about it, just like, wow, it sounds like the closest to Metal Gear Rising fucking Resident Evil game will ever be.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
At least based on that, I need to play it. But
you can put the Revengeance soundtrack over Joe beating people up in a fight.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Fucking. So, I guess that gets us to like, I guess thoughts and opinions about the game at this point. Because I've been doing my best to withhold critiques or any opinions and that kind of. Well, like at least gushing over it. Definitely been doing that more. But like,
as far as the type
I can't really downplay this game.
Yeah.
I can't really downplay it.
The type of game that it is, like it's a survival horror game. So of course. The controls are going to be working against you sometimes because it's supposed to emulate you are not prepared for this situation. So it's like, when you turn around, it's not like you're turning around in Call of Duty. You got some weight to it.
So
you need to play a mouse and keyboard, my guy.
So here's a thing. If you actually press the stick and button at the same time, it does an automatic turn instead of you just doing like this and turning around. It just does a complete 180 so you can run faster. The only gripe that I had with this game, of course I have it with every Resident Evil, is the damn, like we said, the at the end it just gets really action paced. It just goes really crazy.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only other thing that I can think of off the top of my head is being in the basement and shooting the mold monsters, and the camera, like being in narrow hallways and shooting.
Yeah.
And let's say, for instance, an enemy comes behind and you just get slapped out of nowhere, and then you're like, yo, where the fuck did you come? Where the fuck did you come from? And then you gotta start running, and you gotta turn the camera around, shoot it. Other than that, especially because it's first person, you can't see what's behind you, so it is one of those things of when it gets crazy and you're getting surrounded, the camera kind of gets wonky when it comes to shooting. Other than that, especially, I know everybody doesn't have VR, but if you have PlayStation VR, you're doing yourself a disservice by not playing Resident Evil 7 on VR. It is so good. I do, however, warn you, it will scare you shitless if you're not ready, because the sound, between the sound and just being in it and having someone grab you and having a hand do like this and pull your face around and tell you to come here, that...
Yeah.
I'd have to say in VR was one of the scariest shit. Between fighting the Marguerite and fighting the father in VR is just outlandishly scary.
I'm good. I'm not.
Yeah, VR fucked you up. VR fucked you up.
I did play Resident Evil 4 VR, but that's completely different. That was
7 is a whole different monster, boy. I swear. It was good though. It was good.
Yeah, kind of what Tony said. When you get to the part with Lucas, I feel like that part's still interesting, but once they start throwing you into like these fight arenas with the fat guys, I'm like this game's combat, or like the act of shooting things in this game, is not a pillar that's strong enough to stand by itself. Stand on its own. And then pretty much once you get to the part with Mia, like when you start playing as her, that's when like I think it kind of takes a big dive, because at first that part is like you're trying to find a weapon and stuff.
Yeah.
Then it quickly turns into you having like an SMG with like fucking 300 bullets or something.
Yeah.
And having like 12 bombs that you could throw around, all sorts of, like, you have so much ammo that it's, it like at this point it's an action game more than anything else.
Right.
Same once you start playing as Ethan again, they pretty much just start showering you with ammo and stuff and equipment.
Going through them.
Because I think the scare or the horror factor is being tight on ammo, being tight on items, being
it's a survival aspect.
That's where the horror is.
Yeah.
Once you get to a place where I ain't got to worry about ammo. Oh, I got over 200 bullets.
Like, you're not
There's
even
no
stressing
horror anymore. Yeah,
you're not stressing when you miss their head. You're just like, oh, whatever.
Now,
like, you just keep shooting.
One thing that I will say about most Resident Evils is when you put the heart, like the difficulty all the way to the top, it. I don't know if it's they do strain the ammo a bit, but they also, which I don't like, is make the fucking health for creatures just abnormally large.
Yeah.
If you gave me a random difficulty, now when I say random difficulty, I'm meaning in Resident Evil, instead of the creatures having abnormally large health bars, you make ammo stress like scarce, and you change the patterns of enemies. Then I could see difficulty spiking up a little bit, but I don't like the whole, I wouldn't say meat shield, but a bullet sponge. The bullet sponge thing just really doesn't do it for me. I get it. You want your enemies to do a little bit more damage to make it harder, but I shouldn't just get slapped one time and be dead. You get what I'm saying? Like, I get the scarce ammo and all of that, but yeah.
Yeah, like, I kind of respect that in this game. They like try to change it up, but they still wind up doing the same shit when you play on Madhouse. They restrict the amount of times you can save, because now it's like the old school ones where you're in order to save you need a one-time use item. And then and there's a bunch of coins, like a lot more of those secret coins that you find to be able to like get more upgrades and shit like that. But it still has like tougher enemies and more spongy enemies. So like I played on Madhouse for a bit and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, I appreciate some of the changes it adds, but this is like, to me, a little bit too much in the direction of frustrating. As
I played on hardcore and I was just like, I got to the end, but I was just like, I don't know about this. It's hard for the sake of being hard. You know what I'm saying? Like
I just go back to thinking about other Resident Evil games in comparison, and like just like the other Resident Evil games, they're short. They're relatively short games. They're like 8 hour, 8 to 12 hour.
Yeah,
games.
this one took like 6 or 7 for me the first time. Yeah,
they rely on multiple playthroughs, right, to get new stuff, to get unlocks for your last playthrough, the infinite handgun type stuff. This game, I don't want to replay.
You didn't like it? I replayed it like 3 times.
No, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But I've platinumed Remake 2. I've platinumed, before 4 even had achievements, I replayed the shit out of 4, like on multiple consoles.
Countless times.
Everything. I've unlocked everything. 5, 6, I've played a lot. Like, with multiplayer, it's still,
I didn't touch it.
It's like,
I didn't even finish 6.
5, I definitely got all the Xbox achievements.
You know what I think it is though, Solid, for you? All of those games that you named, they were all over the show. The third person.
Well, no, because I played every Resident Evil, right?
Seven's
except for 8.
Fucking
except for 8.
7's for like half the game. 7's a fucking horror game.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
fair
I
enough.
That's the big
played Resident
thing.
Evil 0, 1. I've unlocked the infinite grenade launcher for all of them.
Yeah.
1, 2, the original.
Are they all third person though, right?
Well, they're like the
tank control ones.
the tank control ones. So
yeah, tank control.
Even though it was bad, fucking the Resident Evil Dead Aim, I think it's called.
I don't think I played the Revelations one when they were on the ship. That was Revelations, right?
I've never played Revelations.
There was a Resident Evil where they was on a fucking ship.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Revelations.
Revelations. I've never played that. Yeah.
I played Survivor 1, 2. I played a little bit of what was the online one? Survivor?
Raccoon City.
No,
or
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2. Is that
fucking no.
Code Vein.
Code Veronica was a
Code Veronica.
PlayStation
Yeah,
1.
that was different. I don't remember them.
I don't know.
Damn.
But yeah, the point being that you played,
a lot of Resident Evil. I like replaying Resident Evil. I like unlocking the stuff. It's like this is more of a story one, not story, linear.
It is
linear.
It
Things happen.
Yeah.
Things happen. You know where everything is, and it's like I just don't feel the will to do another playthrough.
I mean,
I don't know.
That's
in
most
terms
of Resident Evil.
Like, look at Resident Evil 5. There is no going off the beaten path of that game. That is a straight shot.
That was all straight through.
But
it was also co-op.
No.
It was also
It's just
co-op.
that
You're right. All the Resident Evil are very linear. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly. I can't say why this game. I don't know why it wouldn't have multiple playthroughs. But
personally, I
played
think
other
it
ones.
goes back to what I said before, where I don't think the gameplay is really strong enough to stand on its own.
Yeah.
So, like, the thing with other Resident Evil games is that they're fun enough where once you beat them, the scares are gone. If there were scares in the first place, they're gone.
And then
But they're still fun enough to play where you just like want to go through it and keep collecting stuff or doing it faster and then unlocking new stuff and that kind of shit. Because I've been there with all of them too, or all the ones that I have played. I've done the same shit too. But well, in my case, I still played through Resident Evil 7 like 4 times. But like,
yeah, I played that a lot.
But Resident Evil 7's gameplay is easily, I think, like, or the actual act of shooting things is easily the weakest part of the game. Yeah. And so once you're done playing through the game, if that's like the kind of thing that keeps you going, it's not really there for that. But the thing is that, like,
7 have a mercenaries mode? No. Okay, so again, that's another defining factor for all of those other Resident Evil games, especially 5. That's what made 5 between the co-op and the mercenaries mode, just made it like outlandishly good. 7 was good, but like Fist said, it's just one of those things where it didn't have other things for it to stand up and be great replay.
7,
let me go back and play it again.
I think 7 is probably the best horror game.
Horror one. Yes.
It is the best horror game that they've ever made, I think.
Yes.
In the context of like when it came out, where Capcom was, like this was, I feel like, again, like you said before, the start of this era of Capcom
Yeah,
where they're
Capcom
releasing
being like
banger after banger after banger.
Yeah,
Not Exoprimal. Exoprimal.
Exoprimal.
Yeah, we don't talk about Exoprimal. Yeah.
But like in that case, it was like, you know, I rate this game really high, you know.
Yeah, Resident Evil 7 like rejuvenated a franchise because the last one to come out, Resident Evil 6, I think they were putting out Revelations around then, but Revelations were very under the radar. The most recent, by all accounts, the most recent mainline entry, while it sold well, pretty much got shitted on by everybody.
Yeah.
And so in terms of just being like this thing that, you know, a brand, you know, if we want to speak about it this way, but like when you look at a Resident Evil game, you're like, oh shit, yo, it's a Resident Evil game. Like, nah, 6 kind of like
6 was the dumpster fire of Capcom's. It really
even
was.
though it was very successful, but yeah,
because a lot of people were like blasting the fuck out of that game when it first dropped. I was just like, okay.
And 7 kind of like 7 rejuvenated Resident Evil as a franchise. I would argue that 7 rejuvenated Capcom as a company.
I can see
and
that.
7 also like actually put, you know, it. I didn't like Resident Evil before 4. I hate tank controls to no end.
When you say tank controls, you're always talking about, just to be clear for those people.
0, 1, 2, and 3. Resident Evil 7 was the first game Resident Evil that I played that was actually scary. That was actually scary. And to be honest, arguably the only one I played that's true. I mean, the 2 remake definitely has its moments, but like in general, that is like the only one that I found legitimately terrifying for a very good portion of the game. Like 8 has just like one part in it that's scary, and then that part's mega fucking scripted. So like the thing is that once you solve that part, once you know that part works, then like it becomes a joke. But anyway, so I think like 7 is, you know, aside from the gripes about like when it kind of falls back on the Resident Evil action bits,
that's about it.
I mean, I think it's a good game. It's a fucking great game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Think we touched on all points, boys?
Yeah. All right, so that will wrap things up for today. Snarf, where can they find you?
Here, and FistTruck TV, where we lost audio for one game and we need to overdub it.
Is what he says. So Tony, where can they find you?
You can find me at HeyyyyyTony with 5 Ys on twitch.tv and on YouTube. Haven't posted any videos yet. I apologize. I'm in the works of moving. So yeah.
Yes.
People are actually mad.
Yes.
And where can I find you, Tony? I mean, bro, like when you, I don't know, like
they can find Tony at HeyyyyyTony
in the Discord. In the Discord, when you say no stream today, you get like, what the fuck you mean no stream? Get on. And he says, I'm too tired with work. And it was like, no, you're supposed to play the game for me.
Right. Like imagine.
I gotta look at that. Imagine you put like, hey, no stream today. It was like, bitch, I'll kill you. Stream. Stream, please.
Where can they find you, Fist?
Here, FistTruck TV on YouTube and FistTruck. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Shadow of the Retreat's coming out real soon, so that means probably at least within a month of it coming out, I might put out a video about it. So there's that. That'll wrap things up. Up until next time. Remember to always ask.
Everybody.
Yeah, remember to always ask your local McDonald's employee why the ice cream machine doesn't actually work.
They're gonna lie to you.
Liars.
They're gonna lie to you. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, everybody.